Hello, everybody. Just wanted to do this because it is Canada Day and the Battle of Gettysburg beginning. So just want to do that. Now we'll switch here, and there's a proper wave. Welcome to CatSCAN News, July 1st, 2026, where we scan the internet looking for news. And because I didn't do this yesterday and there's kind of a backlog, I do have everything already ready. I already scanned it all, and we're going to get to it because I gotta feed the cat soon. We're gonna start with this one. I really want to see what this is about. Hire the hitman who hired the hitman who hired the hitman who hired the hitman, blah blah blah. Let's see.
Michelob Ultra Zero, official beer sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
At Hand and Stone, members get more. More time to unwind, more room to breathe.
This businessman hired a hitman who hired a hitman who then hired a hitman who then hired a hitman who hired a hitman, and somehow the job was never done. I mean, this is hands down one of the most ridiculous stories I've ever came across, and it's a massive lesson on how delegation isn't always efficient. But I mean, thankfully, this wasn't the case, especially for the target in all this. When you think of a completely deranged person who would actually go on to hire a hitman, you would probably imagine, I guess, the hitman being, I don't know, a decent hitman. You know, discreet, professional, bald with a barcode on the back of his head, and most definitely not an undercover federal agent waiting to harpoon your life because you were dumb enough to actually do something like this. But regardless, what you probably don't imagine is someone whose first instinct is to look at the contract and go, I don't have time for this. I wonder if I can hire another cheaper hitman than this and pay him less than what I just got paid. Well, that's exactly what happened in today's story a whole bunch of times. And I mean, this story really has everything. You have a businessman who's convinced taking someone's life would be easier to deal with than dealing with a lawsuit, and of course, a whole chain of endless hitmen. And it pretty much seems like they treated this assassination attempt like it was some weird group project they desperately didn't want to do. And it ended up getting so insane that if it wasn't backed up by court documents, I would assume this is some bizarre movie script. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So the story begins in 2013 in Nanning, a city in southern China, where a real estate developer by the name of Tan Yuhui found himself in a dispute with another businessman named Wei. The two had been involved in the same property development, but things apparently fell apart. Wei had filed a civil lawsuit connected to the project, and according to court documents, Tan became very worried that the legal battle could cost him a whole bunch of money. Now, obviously the situation sucks, but most reasonable people would either try to find some sort of middle ground or hire a lawyer. Who knows? Maybe they'll just try to settle, but Tan apparently skipped every reasonable option and jumped straight to, what if he just wasn't around anymore? Okay, so according to the court, Tan hired a man by the name of Shi to take Wei's life, and even provided Shi with everything he needed: a photocopy of Wei's ID, his phone number, his license plate number, and then personally handed over 2 million yuan in cash, which is worth roughly $280,000 at the time of that payment. And while that sounds horrifying, I guess this is where the comedy kind of starts. Because after taking that job, and more importantly, after taking the money, she came to the realization, I guess I don't have to do it. Might as well hire someone else. So now you might be thinking, shouldn't that have occurred to him before he accepted this contract? Well, apparently not. Instead, she came up with what he must have thought was, I guess, an extremely brilliant business strategy. So he just hired another hitman. I'm not kidding. And according to the court, she handed him 1 million won to another man by the name of Mo Chanchang, and basically said, congratulations, this is your problem now. So he pocketed 1 million won, gave the next guy 1 million won, and said, good luck. And just like that, she was officially in the subcontracting business. And the funniest part about all of this is, at no point did anyone stop and think to themselves, wait a minute, did the guy who gave me this contract, is he doing the same thing to me? Mo, after he took the money, also looked at the job and went, uh-oh, I might get life in prison if I do this. So, he too got into the subcontracting business. So instead of Mo going on to do this, he hired another man by the name of Yang. Only this time, the budget has shrunk again. So Yang received apparently 270,000 yuan up front, with another 500,000 won promised after the job was done. Mo didn't take as much of the pie as the first guy because he's only pocketing about 230,000 yuan after the hit's finished. But obviously, if you're keeping score, we've already gone from a 2 million yuan contract to a deal worth less than half of it. And at this rate, I was expecting the last guy to be offered a punch card and a free coffee, but honestly, the funniest thing is this wasn't some rushed decision either, because according to court records, these men were also passing along Wei's information every single time. His ID, his phone number, his license plate, even a white cell phone containing photos of him. Honestly, this was just world's worst onboarding packet. It's like, okay, new guy, here, take him out. Essentially, every new recruit got the exact same folder. Welcome to the team, here's the target, here's the paperwork, good luck, don't get caught. Except, apparently nobody intended to do the job. They just intended to find the next guy who might do it for a little bit cheaper. It's like those, what are they called? The Russian stacking dolls, but like, you know, it's going from big to small and they just like jump out of each other. This is what's going on right here. And of course, if you thought Yang was finally gonna break the cycle, absolutely not. He was gonna do it. He too got into the subcontracting business and he immediately started looking for someone else to do his work. So according to the court, Yang offered another man by name of Yang. Yes, they're two different people. Both are named Yang. First Yang is named Yang Kongshang. Second Yang is named Yang Guangshang. I swear they're two different people. There's a slight spelling difference on the last name. I am probably butchering the last name. I'm not pronouncing it correctly, I don't think. I guess this is kind of like the Chinese version of Joe Smith hiring Joe Schmidt to do his dirty work. Regardless, Yang offered Yang 200,000 yuan up front, plus another 500,000 yuan once the job is completed. What is he pocketing? Like 80,000 yuan? He's not pocketing that much money anymore. It was the first guy who pocketed a lot of money. But honestly, I don't even think it matters because everyone involved here is making equally questionable decisions here. Regardless though, Yang 2 accepted the offer from Yang 1 and he did the exact same thing. I'm pretty much starting to think that these weren't hitmen at all. They're all just kind of recruiters. So he passed the contract on to a fifth man by name of Ling Jiangxi, and he promised him 100,000 yuan if he took Wei's life. Suddenly that payment reduced a whole bunch now. We just dropped from what, 700,000 to 100,000. But the last two guys didn't take that much in comparison. Obviously I'm judging them for being hitmen, but I'm also judging them with how greedy they are in their subcontracting work.
McCormick has flavored the world for 135 years. Because one bite can do this, and this, and this. McCormick, make your best.
My skin, sensitive and irritated, so I choose Venus Extra Smooth Sensitive with Skin Soft Blades.
The original contract was worth 2 million yuan, and by the time it finally reached Ling at the end here, the guy who's supposed to do all of this, he was offered 100,000 yuan, which is, you know, 5% of the original deal. So somewhere along the line, this assassination had turned into world's most inefficient franchise. Essentially, everyone above Ling had taken a cut, and nobody really took that much risk. Well, I mean, I guess it is the risk of hiring a hitman. But relative to actually doing the acts, they're getting compensated a whole lot better than the guy at the end. Honestly, if this chain just kept going, the sixth guy would have probably been offered a coupon and a firm handshake. But this whole process didn't happen overnight either. According to reports, this chain of subcontracting stretched for over 6 months. They spent 6 months doing this. So essentially the project management here took way longer than making the plan itself. But obviously the contract ended up with Ling. And I guess Ling was the first guy to not think, oh hey, I know a guy. Instead, he came up with an idea that somehow made this story even more stranger, because Ling took, I guess, one look at the offer and decided 100,000 yuan, that's just not worth it. And I guess not because in his head it was wrong, but because if he got caught, he would be risking years, if not the rest of his life in prison. So I guess instead of, I don't know, sharpening a knife or buying a plane ticket to do whatever he was gonna do, he did something no one else in the story really considered. He contacted the guy he was supposed to take out. Huh. Yeah, that's some 4D chess. So according to the court, Ling first left Wei a note, and essentially the two eventually agreed to meet at a cafe in Nanning. Now imagine being Wei for a second. You go to a random coffee shop and the dude sits down next to you and says, hey, I was offered 100,000 yuan to take you out. Yeah, it's not something you want to hear. That's awful. But somehow it gets weirder because Ling then pitches what is, without a question, the most bizarre business proposal of the entire story. So he then goes, what if we fake your murder? How does the story keep going further into left field? Also, the fact that he accepted is the craziest part of this entire story. Dude goes, hey, I was offered 100,000 won to take you out. We fake your murder. Is that good with you? And he goes, yeah, it sounds good. What? So the two of them went on to stage a photo. And according to the court, Wei allowed Ling to photograph him.
I'm trying to remember what the Russian nesting dolls I know, but I don't know what the name in Russian for those dolls was, by the way. And yeah, I know. I'm trying to actually react to it more. I'm just thinking about financial stuff kind of in the background, which I guess this financial stuff is fitting for this. But yeah, I'm also trying to stay awake. So, yeah, you don't subcontract hitmen. That's never a good idea. Well, hiring a hitman in the first place never a good idea, by the way.
With his hands bound behind his back, so Ling would have, I guess, proof that the contract had been carried out. And I guess after all of this, Ling even handed over the white cell phone containing all of Wei's personal information. You know, the same phone that had been passed from hitman to hitman throughout the entire scheme. So he gave the victim all of his personal information, or a phone containing all of his personal information. Well, regardless, Ling had everything he needed. He had a convincing photo, a story to tell, and 5 very gullible men waiting for an update. So according to reports, Ling sent the photo back to Yang 2, who believed it. So Yang 2 sent the information to Yang 1, who also believed it and kept passing the news up the chain. So eventually it all got back to Tan, the businessman who paid millions for this whole operation. But I guess the crazy part about this is nobody asked for any more proof beyond one photo. Not a single follow-up question. They just all collectively went, yeah, it looks right. Okay, cool. Thank you. Meanwhile, Wei, the man who was supposed to, not be alive anymore, he walked into the police station. Yeah, with that phone, of course. So that's it. After 6 months of planning, negotiating, subcontracting, taking commissions, and staging fake evidence, the entire conspiracy fell apart because the intended victim simply just told the police what happened. So the victim then literally walked in and said, okay, you guys aren't going to believe this. This guy hired this guy, hired this guy, hired this guy, who hired this guy, who hired this guy, who walked up to me, confronted me at a coffee shop and went, hey, can we fake your death so I can then pass that back up the chain? Oh, by the way, here's all the information that's been passed all the way down. So Wei made it pretty easy for them. Or, well, honestly, they made it easy for Wei to make it easy for the investigators, because by the time the investigators were finished, every single person involved, from the businessman to the guy who asked to stage the fake death, they were all charged. Essentially, the only person who came out of this whole ordeal without a prison sentence was the guy everyone has been trying to take out. And the peak irony here is they were all subcontracting because they didn't want jail time, but they all got jail time. So congratulations, guys. Regardless, though, the legal battle wasn't over. In fact, the first time this case actually went to trial in 2016, all 6 men were acquitted because prosecutors didn't have enough evidence to secure convictions. So imagine being Wei. You survive a murder plot that somehow then passed through more middlemen than a construction project, and then everyone walks free. Fortunately for him, though, prosecutors appealed the decision, and the case stayed tied up in courts for another 3 years before China's Nanning Intermediate People's Court issued a final ruling in October 2019. Tan, the businessman who started the whole thing, received 5 years in prison. She, the first hitman, got 3 years and 6 months. Yang 1 and Yang 2 each received 3 years in prison. Mo got 3 years. And then finally, Ling, the last man on the chain who ultimately exposed the whole plot, he got sentenced 2 years and 7 months. So this was absolutely not a story about criminal masterminds, but it was so bizarre, I just wanted to share it with you guys. So if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like if you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.
The PFL is on ESPN
Yeah, okay,
all
so
summer long. 8 weeks, 6
they didn't
events,
want to go to
4 world
jail,
titles on the line.
so they hired someone who might turn. Like, why they think? What were their criteria for hiring hitman? That's what I want to know. Like, why did they think these guys would be a good idea? It's weird, man. Just weird. And seriously, if I am not advocating murder at all, I want to be clear. I am simply saying from a strategic standpoint, do it if you want something done and done right, you do it yourself, because other people can make things complicated and get you in trouble. And that's what happened. I mean, you still might get caught and stuff, but less risk, the more there's more risk of getting caught, the more accomplices you have, more people involved. Now I want to see this one, and I'll go
About
sneak
3 years
attack.
ago, I made a video covering the story of one of the most evil streamers the space has ever seen. His name, Stephen McCullough. And he stabbed and killed his pregnant girlfriend, Natalie McNally. She was 15 weeks pregnant. He stabbed her to death. And he hatched a scheme to try and cover his ass. He played a pre recorded GTA video as though it were a live stream on his channel to use as an alibi. Like, no,
Oh, now I know what he's talking about. Okay, that guy. I'm wondering what's going on. I vaguely remember this story.
guys, that couldn't have been me. Look, I was busy farming pogs with my stream. Look, I was playing GTA. I was live at the time. I couldn't have been there and killed her. I don't have the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Look at this alibi. It's so strong. It was a haunting broadcast because he even couldn't help himself but drop some hints about what he was going to do and like even grin and giggle about it. Just pure evil. And they got him, and he was sentenced to a life sentence with a minimum 31 years before he's even eligible for parole. And now he's appealing the life sentence because he's the most hated man in prison, and that's not fair. That's not safe for him. People don't like him in there. The appeal comes as he's been labeled the most hated man in the prison and has a target on his back. So he may not have won prom king or sexiest man alive, but he does have the prestigious title of most hated man in that prison. So that's something to be proud of, huh, Steven? I don't get the strategy here. I don't know who in their right mind would feel bad for him. He's calling the Wambulance, playing a sad song on the world's smallest violin. They don't like me here. Oh no! What? The psychopath who murdered his 15-week pregnant girlfriend isn't well liked amongst the other inmates. Clear my schedule. We gotta get him out of there. We gotta extract him here. Oh, my heart's breaking. What, are they giving you knuckle sandwiches and wedgies and sticking your head in the toilet and flushing it? The swirlies? Steven, is that what's
Ew.
happening? That's good. That's actually wonderful news, actually. It's hard not to smile. According to the Mirror, inmates at the high-security Mogberry prison have the YouTuber on a hit list because he killed a pregnant woman and it's causing a bit of a security nightmare. That's one thing the prisoners don't like, harming innocent children. Some of the worst attacks there have been in here have been on child killers and child abusers, one source said. And you have to understand, the human side means staff aren't going to put their own safety at risk to intervene for the likes of them. Because McCullough murdered a pregnant woman, he falls into that category. So he's currently being held in the Moyola hospital wing for his own protection since it's separated from the other units and houses around 19 high-profile inmates. That's something you always hear about how other inmates will target child molesters and child killers. And the thing is, if the idea of this appeal is to try and get him moved to another prison for his own safety, it'll probably be the same song and dance there, I imagine. So he's claiming, his team is claiming that he is like on a hit list. He's the most hated man in prison. Thus, they're now lodging an appeal against the sentence. I personally don't see how that has any effect on the sentencing, the fact that the other inmates fucking hate him. And if he is on a hit list, then keep him separated like he currently is in the hospital wing or whatever. I don't see why that would matter at all to the sentencing. Oh, you mean he's hated in there? The evil, pregnant woman murdering psychopath, Stephen McCullough, they don't like him there. Oh no. Anyway, like that's a certified who cares moment. He was found guilty, and him being hated in prison doesn't provide any new evidence to proclaim his innocence. So I don't see, and again, I'm not like a lawyer, so I don't get like the nuance and the intricacies of how this works, but I don't see how them coming back and appealing it, saying like, oh, he's the most hated man in there. They don't like him. They shoot spitballs at him. And he pissed his pants. He's tinkled his britches. He's learned his lesson. Now let's appeal this. Come on, let's approach this differently.
I'm pretty sure the act of a third party well after someone totally unrelated to the crime has no bearing on your guilt in the crime. when the third person's acts had nothing to do related to the crime at all, and they were never involved in the first place. Like that's got nothing to do with anything, as far as I know. That is irrelevant.
I just don't see why that matters. Like the hit list thing, yeah, I get them maybe needing to like separate him or whatever to keep him alive. But outside of that, I don't see how this would in any way, shape, or form have any effect on his sentencing. Stephen McCullough is a monster, and he deserves to be one of the most hated men in that prison. That shouldn't come as a shock to anyone there. There should be no sympathy for that. You want to know how you avoid being the most hated man in prison? Don't fucking kill your pregnant girlfriend and unborn child.
Don't tell me what to do. That's what someone is saying right now. There are people out there who are saying, "Don't tell me what to do. You can't do that to me." Blah 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 blah. There are people like that out there.
I think that's a pretty easily avoidable thing. So this is the consequences of his own actions here, and it should have no effect on his sentencing. Just keep him separated from the rest of the inmates to keep him alive, and that's it. That's all you can do. That's all you should do. There, if anything, double his sentencing because of this bullshit. I never made like a follow up to the Stephen McCullough case. I talked about it on stream quite a bit, but I never made like a video follow up to it. The trial, it was like a 4-week trial. The amount of like planning and just evil shit that Stephen McCullough orchestrated here to both kill Natalie McNally as well as try and cover for himself is just diabolical. He even tried to frame her ex-partner. He tried to frame her ex-boyfriend for it, and he planned out everything like meticulously, like the pre-recorded live stream, which they eventually proved was pre-recorded, as well as the way he traveled there, got home, changed his clothes, everything. And they got him. Like, this is justice served. He was the one who did it. It's not like they potentially got the wrong guy or anything. There's no wiggle room for this being like, oh, wrong place, wrong time, he's innocent. He himself calls himself a monster, by the way. This is a very bad, awful man that should not have any kind of leniency with his sentencing just because he's the most hated man in that prison. Sorry to tell you. So anyway, wanted to yap about this a little bit. That's really about it. So, yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna take a break and go. Let me get rid of the stupid ads first.
There'll be no doubt who the
So
gods have
just
chosen
close it
to.
out. Boom, done. There we go. Yeah, and read that story next. But first, let me pause recording while I go feed the cat. I just want to take like 2 minutes tops. Okay, let's get back to it. Now, let's take a break, and I want to see some palate cleansers, and that guy did not. Okay, yes, again, don't kill people. Don't whine about the consequence of you killing people. And like I said, if why? Man, that's kind of stupid. I do think it's pretty stupid. That has no bearing whatsoever on the fact he committed the crime, which is why he's in jail. That's it, period. Anyway, anyway here, yeah, this is a compound cleanser. Meme laments Earth's lack of dragons, vampires, and fairies. A popular meme contrasts fairy creatures like elves, mermaids, dragons, vampires, and werewolves with everyday gripes such as bills, stress, gossip, and difficult people. It first surged in March. Sorry for the yawning. With a post earning over 200,000 likes, and variations resurfaced through spring and summer, spiking again with Nithya Shree's post on no vampires, dragons, or dinosaurs that drew nearly 900 likes. Some highlight Earth's real wonders like cats and bunnies, yes. Joke about bosses as as energy draining vampires, or tie the longing to frustrations with intolerance, blending whimsy with wry takes on human flaws. Oh, there's a Komodo dragon. And yeah, like dragons usually are dramatic and I mean not dramatic, violent. That's not and vampires too. Like vampires were dragon. Well, I mean dragons for the most part tend to leave people alone unless they're hungry or need to attack in self-defense. But yeah, dragons usually don't bother people unless they're bothered. So that's not too bad. But vampires and werewolves, yeah, not your friends. They ain't your friends. And elves and fairies, I mean, depends on which mythology you're looking at, but they can be mischievous and troublemakers. So it's not as bad as vampires and werewolves, but not necessarily as that good either. I don't know about mermaids either. I don't know too much mermaid lore. And dinosaurs, yeah, dinosaurs aren't here anymore. Deal with it. Well, I mean, technically, if you depends on what you believe. Some say chickens are modern modern dinosaurs. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. You see here, been saying it. A lot of stuff. Poor kitty. Yeah. Mm, yeah. Mm, mm, yeah. And vampires depends on what you mean by vampires. Oh, this one person says you are lucky I don't own a dragon. Yes, I will agree with that. Okay, so that was kind of funny. Just yeah. Now, if they were the dragons on Pern, for those of you who read Anne McCaffrey, yeah, those are okay dragons. Those dragons I'd want. And let's go to the last video. What was the last video? Yeah. Okay, I want to see what this is about. I think I know. But oh, yeah, no, thank you.
New Jersey Democrat Frank Pallone is bragging about making the internet a worse place, about requiring biometric data, harvesting your information, governmental overreach, same stuff we've seen in the UK, Australia, Canada, Online Safety Act, etc., etc., etc. Same stuff going on here with this act that they're calling the Kids Act, which, by the way, does have bipartisan support, unsurprisingly. And there's something especially nefarious about it being called a Kids Act because politicians love to put forward bills and acts that have the complete opposite, like the name's the complete opposite of what they really intend to do. Like they'll name something like the wonderful Make Your Life Better bill, and then it's like everything's worse. So you see something that's like the Kids Act, and you're like, oh gosh, what are they going to do to kids? Like this is probably bad. Sure enough, of course it is. So Frank Pallone says big tech has had a free pass too long. Predatory design, dangerous AI chatbots, targeted ads at kids. My bipartisan Kids Act protects kids online and reins in big tech. He followed this up by saying, update, my bipartisan Kids Act passed the House today by an overwhelming vote of 267 to 117. Big tech has had a free pass for too long. Today that changes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong support of the Kids Act, which is, as my chairman has mentioned, bipartisan legislation to protect kids online and rein in big tech. And I do want to thank our chairman Guthrie for all his work on this.
Wonderful. This is the exact sort of person we need talking about tech. Previously, these losers were trying to pass COSA, the Kids Online Safety Act, and now they're pushing this Kids Act as well, which apparently takes part of COSA. except now repackaged into an omnibus bill with all of the same problems of every sort of law that covers this same sort of thing regarding online safety. This is to say, they're going to try to require platforms to estimate your age. And then when they get that wrong, hey, you got to prove you're not a kid. Send in your biometric data to prove it because we care about protecting kids. Give us your information. And with corrupt people like this, it never ends. Hypothetically, there's some people that like actual citizens supporting this stuff, and it's like, dude, you do realize first of all the problems with this, right? But that aside, even if something like this passes, they don't stop at that. That's only the start. You give them a little bit. This is a lot more than a little bit, but figure of speech. You give them a little bit, and then they always take more and more and more and more. They want more and more control, more and more power.
Yeah, and see, the reason it doesn't protect the kids is because they've handicapped the parents as much mentally as legally from being parents, which is them being rude.
That's how it is every single time. Now, while the Kids Act did just pass in the House, there is good news. This is not law yet. It still has to go to Senate. It's got to be negotiated, discussed. It might get struck down, might end up in purgatory for X number of years, and then get struck down. Who knows for sure how this will ultimately turn out. But so far, right now, this is not law. This is essentially only the beginning. But at the same time, these people never give up. If this doesn't work, they'll try again, as they always do. My point, though, is right now, it's not law. Thank you for tuning in. That's the latest. I'll leave it there. See you in the next one.
Well, I'm glad it's not law yet, but that reminds me. Oh, wait, no, I do want to go back here. Speaking of things that don't really help kids at all, let me see if it's here. No, it's not. Well, me news. It is a little bit old, so maybe it's not here anymore, but so I will have to do a search, okay? This happened this week. A conservative-led motion to launch a national inquiry into grooming gangs was rejected in the UK House of Commons by a vote of 364 to 111. The amendment was attached to the Children's Well-being in Schools bill, which would have stalled if the motion had passed. Mm, mm, yeah. Oh, this is new. Yeah, okay, and it says all Labour MPs voted against it. No surprise. For it, Conservatives and some from the Reform UK, the DUP, the Ulster Unionist Party, and Independents. This is rich. The rejection was framed by Labour as prioritising action over further investigations, with Prime Minister Keir Starmer, I'm going to call him Sir, screw that, he can, never mind, arguing that recommendations from the 2022 independent inquiry into child sex abuse had not yet been implemented. Okay, it has been 4 years and they ain't no, no, that okay, my response to this, That is my response. And I won't be posting this right away. I'm going to wait till tonight when I do my P blessings to wait to see how the day goes. But I appreciate you all watching. So yeah, this is gonna be video is gonna be weird to have because all the different background for the P blessings. It'll be quite a change. But take care, everyone. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. There we go. Yeah, you'll see me wave again in a few minutes when you watch this. Good evening, everybody. Oh, I don't know what that noise was. Little computer alert noise, but I don't know what caused it. And I hope you're all well. And yeah, you guys will all see this at the end of my CatSCAN news, which I record early in the day, but I wasn't going to do P blessings because I could do that at the end of the day. And yeah, pet peeve. I had it a few moments ago. Just scuff. Because had scuff with the stream couldn't get the right Doctor Who episodes to watch. And I lost track, and they were hard to find because they're the OGs from the 60s. And a lot of those episodes, the film was too damaged. So you don't get to see the live action episodes. You get like screenshots, stills of it with the audio. The audio is fine, but you don't have the image, the visuals. You might have an image, or sometimes they animate it, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that's sad. And so my being broke, and I did actually make the mistake of checking my bank. Well, I had to check my bank balance to check. I'm overdrawn, and my phone bill is due Friday. I think I have it taken care of, but I will have to wait and see. If I lose my phone, I am screwed because I have no other way to contact people and stuff. I mean, I have the internet, but yeah, like my disability claim, I got, lawyer, and then even though I have the internet, all my online accounts, the number goes to my phone. Like, if you have to send a verification number or something, it will go to my phone, not to me. Yeah. I mean, not to my, yeah, if I can't access my phone, then it doesn't help. Unless, sometimes they'll send to the email, but not usually, and it's just so annoying. Anyways, the blessings are it was a good day and a good stream overall. It was my first stream as an affiliate. So the scuff in that sense is what to be expected, and there is so much to learn now. I have to figure out all the stuff. I mean, all the things I can do, like the alerts and emotes, and well, I'm not gonna do Tangia yet, but yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, I did bring my coffee. I knew that. So yeah, I'm just gonna get ready for bed, and sorry, Marmalade's here and my lap wine lots of attention. Anyways, I will hope to see you guys in the morning. Have a good night and God bless.